It was a busy Tuesday that saw the Fed chairman on Capitol Hill. Drug CEOs were there too. And the president arrived in Hanoi for an historic summit. But we begin tonight with the economy and the questions swirling around where it's headed. Today, a number of reports painted a somewhat confusing picture. Consumer confidence rebounded in February, and building permits, a sign of things to come, were higher. That's the good news. But housing starts, a report delayed because of the shutdown, tumbled to their lowest level in more than 2 years. Home prices decelerated in December, according to the Case-Shiller Home Price Index. And then Home Depot reported earnings that missed expectations, and that sent the stock lower in trading today. Courtney Reagan takes a closer look at the Dow Component's numbers and what they may be saying about housing and the economy.
Home Depot just finished its best year ever, but the home improvement retailer's final quarter disappointed. CEO Craig Menear says unfavorable weather, cold, snowy, and particularly wet conditions is the reason for the lower than expected sales. When it's wet outside, home improvement projects get delayed. The categories that are less weather dependent performed better.
Home Depot is a great company. In the last 5 years, they've powered through weather. And so when you see a company now that's missing and they're starting to call out weather and rain, frankly, I think is probably the first that's been called out in quite some time. To me, that does seem to express some weakness in the underlying trends.
U.S. comparable sales increased more than 3.5%, and the number of transactions and the amount each shopper spent both grew in the quarter. Sales to professionals, like contractors, continue to outpace sales to do-it-yourselfers. Home Depot's online sales grew nearly 23% in the quarter, and now half of online purchases are picked up in stores. The strength of the U.S. housing market remains the key driver of home improvement spending. Chief Financial Officer Carol Tomei says most housing metrics are trending positive, noting that home equity has more than doubled since 2011 in the U.S., and more than half of U.S. homes are more than 40 years old, requiring improvements, a bullish indicator for Home Depot. Altogether, Home Depot executives classify the U.S. housing market as stable and forecast comparable sales to grow 5% this year.
There's so much concern out there right now with what we've seen, weaker housing data, maybe a weaker consumer. I don't see that in these Home Depot's results.
They're probably the best retailer in the country and one of the best operators in general. To me, it's very clear. It's just signs of the housing market are starting to slow.
Analysts agree that Home Depot is a well-run retailer, but if the housing market starts to weaken, even the strong home improvement players will get hurt. For Nightly Business Report, I'm Courtney Reagan.